14-2, work together. We've got several transactions that we're going to work through. It tells us to journalize those transactions for our company. They were completed during November and December. And you've got a general journal and a cash receipt journal. Okay, so a general journal, those will always have 2 lines because you'll have 1 debit and 1 credit. It could have more than 2 lines, but it will always have at least 2 lines. And then your cash receipt journal, remember that's anytime you receive cash. And so it will always, always, always be a debit to cash. And then just depending on the situation, whatever else is going on. Okay, so our first transaction, it says on November 4th, we wrote off Meloncore's past due account as uncollectible for $494. Okay, so we decided we've hunted them down long enough. They're not going to pay it off. We're just going to write it off and not account for it anymore. Okay, well, it'll count basically as a loss for our company. So in your general journal on November 4th, so November 4, we are going to, they owed us the money. Okay, so it was an accounts receivable, and normally accounts receivable is an asset. But whenever we decide that we're not going to get that money, we're writing it off, we're going to take it out of their accounts receivable because we are no longer expecting to receive that cash from them. So accounts receivable is going to be the credit, okay, but you always write debits first. So the debit is going to be into the allowance for uncollectible accounts, all right? So allowance for uncollectible accounts. Our memo number, it told us, was 145, and the amount is 494. So then your credit is going to be accounts receivable for the company, so Melon Corp. All right, and credit of 494, and that's it for that one. Okay, and I have a little cheat sheet up here if you want to write this down or something. Take a picture of it that kind of explains what you do. When you write off accounts, you're going to debit allowance for uncollectible, and when you're going to credit accounts receivable in the company name. All right, and we'll get to this next part in a second. So on November 15th, we wrote off Horn Company's past due account. All right, so we're still in November, so I'm going to put 15, and again, allowance for uncollectible accounts. This is memo 147, and it was for 1548. And so accounts receivable is going to be credited with Horn Co. Horn Co. Okay, 1548. All right, in December, check it out. It's something a little different here. We received cash in full payment of Meloncore's account previously written off as uncollectible. $494. So up here we said, you know what, we're not going to get this money from these guys. We're writing it off. And then lo and behold, come December 8th, they pay us. All right, yay for us, but we have to fix our accounting. So there's 2 parts whenever you actually get paid for something that you already wrote off. So over here in this section, the first transaction, you have to put it back into your accounts receivable because we're receiving it from them and the company name, and then you credit allowance for uncollectible accounts because we're basically taking it out of there because we did collect it. And then of course we received cash, so now you got to go to the cash journal and debit cash and credit accounts receivable because the amount they owe us is actually going down now because they did finally pay. All right, so first part down here, we're going to have December 8th, so we're changing the month, so I got to put the month in there, and it's going to be accounts receivable, / and it was Meloncore, okay, and this is a check number, or it's a memo number and a receipt. So in the general journal, we're going to deal with memos, and the receipt is going to go in the cash because that's where you show that you received cash, okay? So this is going to be memo 158, and the amount is $494, all right? So then our credit is allowance for uncollectible accounts because we collected it. So that portion is no longer in there, okay, because it's no longer uncollected. So for $494. Then you go down to your cash journal, and on the same date, so December 8th, and it's going to be a cash debit. So $494 cash debit, and the credit is going to be accounts receivable for the company. Now remember, in your special journals, you don't have to write accounts receivable because you have a special column for accounts receivable right here. So the amount is going to be $494 right there. So we have a debit of $494 and a credit of $494, and we need to know who paid us, okay, who was the account that we received from. So we'll put our company name here, Mellon Corp. And then, of course, our receipt number was R341. Okay, and that's it for that one. All right, on the 14th, we wrote off Fisher Industries past due account as uncollectible. Okay, so we're going to come back up here to our general journal, and on the 14th, we're going to say accounts received. Oh, my bad. Allowance for uncollectible accounts, because we are assuming we're not going to get this money. It is Memo 161. And the amount is $1,360. Our credit is accounts receivable because we're no longer expecting to receive this money. And we got to say who it's from. So Fisher Industries. And $1,360. And that's it for that one. On the 16th, we received cash in full payment for Horn. Okay, so Horn actually did pay us. It was previously written off. So now we have to do the two-part. We have to put it back into accounts receivable because we should have received it, taking it out of allowance for uncollectible accounts, and then put the cash that we received, and so then it's paid off, so take it out of accounts receivable. So 16th, we are going to accounts receivable / and the company name because they do actually still owe us at this immediate point in time. Oh, no, it wasn't Mellon. That one is Horn. Okay, and this is, remember in this section we're putting the memo because the receipt will go in the cash receipt journal, and the amount was $1,548. And so then our credit is going to be to allowance for uncollectible accounts because we actually did collect it, so it should not be in the uncollectible account portion. So then down in our cash receipt journal, it's still December. It is the 16th. We received money from Horn Co. It was receipt number 349. So our cash amount that we received is $1,548. And again, it comes out of accounts receivable credit, and we only have to write the company name because accounts receivable is already written for us. So click right here, $1,548, and we should be done. The second portion of this section is posting, and I told you guys you don't have to post anymore, so we're not going to go over that. That's it.